Hi, I'm Jonathan Benjamin. Welcome back to Muscoot Farm Storytime. Today we're going to be reading Hettie. And as you can see, we are in with the Scottish Highland cattle. And they're trying to kind of find some food this morning, and they're just doing a little exploring. So let's go. All right. Hettie, the Highland cow, lived in Scotland on Granny MacLeod's farm. Granny had two grandchildren, Callum and Kirsty, who liked to visit Hettie. It was spring and the sun was shining. Hettie was in her field having a tasty breakfast of grass and dandelions. It was usually cold in Scotland, so Hettie's coat was thick and hairy to keep her warm. Two blackbirds flew by looking for a place to make their nest. Chirp, chirp, tweet, they said, and then they started to build a nest in Hettie's hair. Moo, said Hettie. She wasn't sure about this. She was a cow, not a hedge. The blackbirds were happy with their new home, and they settled down to lay their eggs. It was summer, and Hettie was hot under her thick coat, but she had lots of lovely flowers to eat. The blackbirds were singing happily, chirp, chirp, tweet. Their eggs had hatched, and baby birds were learning to fly. Some butterflies fluttered around Hettie's head and landed on her nose, which was very tickly. Moo, achoo! Hettie let out a big sneeze. She hoped the butterflies would fly away soon. She was a cow, not a leaf, but the butterflies had found a new home. They settled on Hettie's fur and laid their eggs, which soon hatched into wriggling caterpillars. It was autumn, and it was very windy. Hettie was trying to eat brambles from the hedge. The blackbirds were singing as they mended their nest, chirp, chirp, tweet. The caterpillars had turned into brand new butterflies, but it was much too windy to fly. A squirrel scurried by looking for a place to hibernate for the winter. Sniffle, sniffle, squeak, said the squirrel as it snuggled down in Hettie's long fur. Moo, said Hettie grumpily. She was a cow, not a tree, but the squirrel was already fast asleep. It was winter, and it was freezing cold outside, but underneath her hairy coat, Hettie was very warm indeed. And also were the blackbirds, who were having a snooze, and the butterflies, who were hiding fast asleep, and the squirrel, who was snoring, snort, snort, snarf. Along came a mountain hare, who was tired of looking for food in the snow. Boing! The hare hopped into Hettie's back and burrowed into her thick fur. Moo, said Hettie as the hare kicked with its strong back legs. She was a cow, not a walking zoo. Hettie shook her coat, but all the animals hung on tightly. It was nearly spring, and Hettie was feeling itchy. The blackbirds were flapping, the butterflies were fluttering, the squirrel was twitching, and the hare gave Hettie an almighty kick. Thump! And this was the final straw. As fast as she could, under the weight of all the animals, Hettie trotted over to Granny's cottage. Moo, Hettie bellowed. Granny MacLeod and Callum and Kirsty rushed outside. Oh, Hettie, what a mess, said Granny. But she sometimes had bad hair days herself, but never quite like this. So Kirsty and Callum brushed Hettie's hair, and out flew two blackbirds, lots of pretty butterflies, a sleepy squirrel, and a startled mountain hare. All these creatures have been sleeping in Hettie's hair, said Callum. She's a cow, not a hairy hotel, said Kirsty. Poor Hettie, said Granny. Then she got out the shears and gave Hettie a good trim. Hettie liked her new haircut, but where had all the animals gone? The two blackbirds were building a nest in the hedge, the butterflies were flying among the leaves, the squirrel was making its nest in a tree, and the mountain hare was hopping back up the hillside. Moo, said Hettie, happy at last. And you can see our cows are pretty happy too right now. They're walking around, trying to find something to eat. I don't see any blackbirds flying out of their coats or any squirrels or anything like that, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. I'd like to introduce them to you if you haven't met them yet. We have back there in the far corner there the one with white hair, her name is Sloth. And then this next one closest to Sloth is Rua. And then we have Lily Bell, which is actually Rua's baby. And then we have Gilly, who's got her back to us right now. And we're just gonna kind of let them do their thing. And we really hope you enjoyed listening to Storytime today, and come back and visit again soon.